Welcome to LOA Today. Walt Thiessen and life coach Tom Wells here. Today is Monday, July 23rd, 2018, 8 a.m. Eastern Time, your first daily dose of happy for the day and for the week for that matter. And we hope your week's going to be off to a great start. It will be if you decide that it will be. I was realizing that this morning that I hadn't been doing my mirror exercises as much as I should, so I started doing it again this morning. And it really does feel good to make yourself feel good, Tom. I mean, even when you're not waking up in the greatest space, it still feels good to make yourself feel good.
Yeah, that's a good idea to do that.
I mean,
as consistently as possible.
It is. It really is. And I woke up this morning after a little bit of a, not a bad night, just kind of a little rough night. Because around about 1 o'clock in the morning, I was awakened by the smoke alarm chirping at me saying my battery is low. And I was in a really, really deep sleep. I mean, I was deeply asleep. I was feeling good, and then this thing's chirping away. And well, first of all, you know what thought went through my mind was, why do these things always run out of juice in the middle of the night? That was the first thought. It was like, oh, no, I really don't want to get up to have to do this. Because otherwise it's just going to keep me awake,
Ruin that wonderful sleep. Oh, I hate that.
So I got up, got the little step ladder, put it down underneath where the smoke detector is on the ceiling, and got up there, and I'm pulling the thing off, and I'm half asleep, and trying to look through my bleary eyes, figure out how to get the thing off. I know how to get it off. I've gotten it off there a number of times, but even so, finally got it off and got the battery in there. A couple of false tries to get it closed because they had a special little design where the battery has to push that little sensor in place, and all that kind of thing. But finally got in place, put it back into the ceiling, and went back to bed after checking on the cat because the cat was out. He hadn't wanted to come in, and he came in just long enough to eat, and he went back out. Okay, got back back to bed, and I couldn't go back to sleep.
Don't you love that?
No, geez, no. This is not acceptable.
Yeah, really. Oh God.
So I get out my phone. I start doing some reading. I have like a few books I like to go to, including an old collection of Sherlock Holmes tales. So I'm reading a Sherlock Holmes story, The Hound of the Baskervilles, and I read that for about a half an hour, and finally I start to feel drowsy. Like, oh, good, okay, well, put the phone down and go to sleep. 10 minutes later, all of a sudden, achoo! Now all of a sudden I'm reacting to dust or something. I have no idea what. And for the next 5 hours, every half hour, it was wake up, sneeze, get tissues, go back to sleep. Wake up, sneeze, get tissues, go back to sleep.
Oh my God.
I'm thinking, what did I do? What was I thinking? Where was my attitude at that I drew this? I don't know what I did. Which is, that's part of it. You don't always know where the threads come from. You can't always point to, well, it was when it was on Sunday, the July the 22nd at 3:36 p.m. when I was thinking about this, that, and the other thing that led to this. You can't always put that together,
No. Sometimes you just got to go with the flow, huh?
You just have to go with the flow. So, and it was flowing. But,
it was flowing right out of your nose.
It was flowing. But I finally managed to get to sleep. And then this morning, my other cat decides that it's time for me to get up. Now I'm in a deep sleep, and she comes up, and normally she'll just meow at me, and I heard that, and I just kind of started to fall back to sleep. That wasn't enough this morning. This morning she had to start kneading at me through the blanket.
Sounds like somebody was after you the whole night.
It really was, yeah.
Altered state,
I mean, I don't know why, but for some reason it was very important for me to not have a full night's sleep.
Yeah, right. Well, this is going to set up your day for some surrender that's supposed to take place or something, maybe. I don't know. Sounds good.
What it was? Yeah, sounds good, right?
Well, it sounds good in the fact that you're right here, right now in this moment.
Well, that's true. That's true.
Going forward from here,
that part is good.
Allow it to caress yourself into good feeling places.
Well, it just did. I mean, and ultimately, this is one of those times where, things didn't quite go the way I wanted them to. And I didn't quite get the sleep I wanted to. And you have to kind of remember the world isn't ending. It isn't like this is, everything's downhill from here. And so that's where you start reaching for all the good things that are going on. Like you just pointed out, I'm still alive. Well, life's still going on. It's like, this is a good thing. You start counting the blessings and all the good things that are going on in life.
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, and just I hadn't done mirror exercises regularly, so I did some mirror exercises this morning, and that felt good. Just, I was just doing whatever I could to get myself into that good mood because I knew the podcast was coming. That was going to help no matter what. But I need, you need to get there from the beginning. And I even decided while I was doing my mirror exercise that I just want to have a great day. And then I want a good night's sleep tonight because I didn't get one last night, so I got to make up for it.
Yeah. Did you get a chance to take a nap during the day?
Oh, not really. I mean, first of all, I'm not really a nap person. There are some people, and I'm one of them, who if I try to take a nap midday, all it really does is make me feel tired and achy. I'll wake from it, and I'm just it's like the feeling you get when you're awakened in the middle of the night by the smoke alarm after being in a deep sleep.
That bad, yeah.
Yeah, so naps don't really help me very much.
Oh, that's too bad. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've gotten into taking naps because I get up at 5 a.m. for these podcasts, and sometimes I go to sleep at midnight. So 5 hours for me really isn't enough. And so then sometimes I go back and I can sleep really great and totally get rejuvenated. Luckily, it pretty much works for me to take a nap.
Well, if I wake up like at 5 a.m., I mean, you're waking up at 5 a.m. to do this podcast, which we're very grateful for, by the way. And if I do something like that and I get up and I'm doing something for a while, I can go to bed early morning and in my mind treat it like it's just I'm extending my sleep. I'm not taking a nap. I'm just extending the sleep. And if I do it that way, I can sleep. There's some kind of mental block I've got when it comes to treating it like, quote, a nap, unquote. And I don't know what it is.
Yeah. Well, I used to never take naps. I didn't even, they weren't a part of my reality because I had so much energy that once I was awake, I just went the whole day. And of course, I didn't ever hardly go on 5 hours of sleep, but usually more than that. But now that I don't know what it is, I guess getting older, taking naps is just part of I love it, and a lot of days I do take a short nap, and sometimes it's hard to get up and get going again. That's the weird thing about naps sometimes. But once I'm up and then I start moving around, then I can get going. Then I start feeling the rejuvenation from it.
Well, what I also realized that even in a case like this where I just didn't get the quality of sleep I was looking for, I got actually quite a bit of sleep last night. It just wasn't that continuous sleep that you like to have, right?
Yeah.
And on a day where I just didn't get that kind of continuous sleep that I really, really like to have, it's up to me to decide how I'm going to react to it because it's not that big of a deal. I mean, really, when it comes down to it, it really isn't that big of a deal.
Right. You can function. Huh?
So will I treat it like a big deal or not? I mean, I'm kind of treating it like a big deal just because we're talking about it here at the beginning of the podcast. But I'm also, even as we're doing it, I'm telling it in a funny way to get myself to laugh, to get you to laugh, maybe get our listeners to laugh, and to just feel differently about it. Because I could be telling the story of, oh, God, I can't believe I couldn't get any sleep last night. That would be a much worse story to tell.
Yeah. Then you could carry that energy.
All the way through the day. Yeah.
Well, our podcast today, is about letting go and letting God, letting life flow,
letting source to go. Yeah.
Letting source do it. And I put a little quote in there describing this show because it described it so beautifully. It's a little quote by Abraham that said, "The river of life is big and real and always moving, and the art of allowing is to learn to navigate in the stream." And the first thing that you must understand in this stream of life is that it is benevolent and that it adores you and that it takes you all of the places that you want to be and that you may trust it. And I thought, wow, that's one of the best quotes I've ever read from Abraham-Hicks is because it, man, this is where I want to live, is in this place of allowing and going in the flow of the stream of life and letting go of the oars, and stop rowing upstream, stop trying so hard to do my processes. And they were saying, people say, well, okay, I'm in the river, I'm in the stream. Let me put a motor on my boat and I'm going to get to where I want to get to. And we're going to get these processes done. And I'm going to have the life I want to have. And they said, is that an upstream thought or a downstream thought? And, of course, we have to always feel that out. Like, what are we putting into our life? And this downstream stuff is very forgiving and very liberating for me.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean,
really
the
tough
question you
quote.
just raised, is it an upstream thought or
Mm-hmm.
is it a downstream thought?
Mm-hmm.
What I've come to understand over the last few days in particular, especially thinking about yesterday's podcast with David, whether or not it's upstream or downstream has more to do with where you're at than with it being objectively upstream or downstream.
Right.
Like, for
Right.
instance, if in the context of what we talked about yesterday we were talking about somebody who just got divorced, they're really hurt and they're really in a bad place. Well,
Mm-hmm.
from their perspective, getting angry, getting into rage is actually an upstream thought, or I'm sorry,
Mm-hmm.
downstream thought from where they are. It's
Yeah.
downstream because they're actually in depression. So downstream from there is rage, and that's
Yeah.
true. On the other
Yeah.
hand, you can be in a pretty nice place. You could be in a place of hopefulness. You could be in a place of like satisfaction,
Mm-hmm.
and anything that is even in the range of contentment is upstream from there.
Mm-hmm.
You
Yeah.
know, it just
Yeah.
depends where you are in the stream and what where you are in your emotional set point or your emotional range, because that emotional range really dictates whether you're going upstream or downstream.
Yeah. I got into this place this weekend because I had sort of a falling out in my own mind with my partner, and I was, laying on my couch feeling really like between a rock and a hard place. That saying, that you're sort of feeling like no matter which way, damned if I do, damned if I don't, was the feeling I had, and and I was just sort of trapped there for about 3 hours, just laying on the couch, feeling this sense of despair, really, kind of like a hopeless feeling about what to do with this relationship and how will I ever sort this out? Because sometimes it's so good and sometimes it's so troubling to me, and and I just let go, and I just said, look, this is just where I'm at. I couldn't even I couldn't even think about a better feeling story. I mean, I kind of always do, I guess, in the sense that I'm not gonna feed myself a horrible story. If I start thinking thoughts of despair and things getting worse, I'm not going to go down that path. But I also didn't have the energy or the wherewithal to think, try to think my way through the situation. I had to feel my way, and in feeling, all I could feel was this feeling of, it didn't feel good. It felt bad. It felt
Mm.
really bad. And so I just sort of stayed in that feeling for quite a few hours, just laying there and kind of meditating. And then I got up and I I talked to my girlfriend, and I went over to her place and had an incredible, beautiful evening, and
Mm.
everything turned out so nice, and I feel really good now.
Wow, very good.
And but it was all just done by just feeling, just accepting that, look, this is how I feel, and that's all there is to it. And I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what's going to happen in the relationship. I don't know what's going to happen to me, but I'm just going to have faith, and I'm going to just like know that the stream of life will carry me. It'll carry me further along. And the thing I love about this quote of Abraham-Hicks is that they're saying that, that if the stream of life is benevolent,
Mm.
isn't that? And that's got to be one of the biggest, to me. I've been saying it for years that life is benevolent and benign. And then they're saying that, yeah, not only that, it adores you and it takes you everywhere you want to go, and you can totally trust it. And if you really think about that and step back a little bit and look at all of the situations in our lives, isn't that incredibly liberating if you believe that?
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
you live by that there is a stream of life that's constantly flowing. It's benevolent. It's going to take you where you want to go, and you can put all your trust in that. You can literally let go of all your struggling, all your effort to row your boat anywhere, and put the oars down in the boat. The river will turn the bow of the boat in the direction you want to go, and you just let go, and everything is going to get taken care of for you, whether you like it or not.
It reminds
And
me of
it's
the Mike Dooley story. I don't know if you've heard this one, but this was from before he became Mike Dooley, the famous advocate for the law of attraction. Back in the days when he and his mom and his brother had their T-shirt business, which is what Tut.com was for. That's their website. and the
Right.
t-shirt business had kind of died, and they were closing the business. And now he was trying to figure out what to do with his life, and he ended up he was formerly trained as a CPA, as an accountant, so he was trying to get work as an accountant. Couldn't get any work. Nobody would hire him. And his life was just kind of sinking in front of his eyes, and his savings were drying up. It's like, oh my God, what am I going to do? And he got to the point where he had like 3 options, and he describes them this way. He says the first option was the sucky option. And then the second option was the suckier option. And then the third one was the suckiest option. There were no good options.
I see.
And he talks about just what you talked about. He just kind of let go. He said, I don't know what to do. I give up. I let go. And shortly after that, this little email list he'd been sending out, sharing his thoughts about what he'd learned within himself about how the universe works and so forth, which he called Notes from the Universe, started to take off. And all of a sudden, people were subscribing in large numbers. And then just one thing led to another, and all of a sudden he had a brand new career.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But he had to let go of those 3 suckier, and suckiest options before that would happen.
Yeah, I forgot one little part of my story this weekend, laying on the couch, was the way that I finally made, I think the things started to move was I finally just said, well, I'm going to give up this entire thing to my higher power, to source, because I can't figure this out at all. So I said, okay, you guys got to totally take care of this, and I realized that, I don't know why I don't do that earlier, but I did it when I reached the end of my rope of despair. Then I said, okay, I can't think about this anymore. There's nothing I can do to make this better that I can possibly even imagine. So I'm just going to give it up completely. And that's what I did. And then the question was, should I stay home or should I go over and see my partner? And the one that felt better was to go see her, and didn't know why. But in doing that, it was like everything unfolded, and all this beautiful stuff happened. And my evening became not only, better, it became incredibly delightful. So yeah, I mean, trusting and going with the flow is a huge thing. And I'm always looking for the panacea,
No,
but
who
I'm
isn't?
beginning to think that this is it for me today. This is definitely like going with the flow and trusting life completely, and knowing that it's benevolent and benign, and that it's going to take me everywhere that I need to go and everywhere I want to go, and that I'm going to totally trust and quit struggling to try to make things happen. And it's quite a learning to be in that place.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and also taking it to the point of view that this is the way I look at it. You tell me if you look at it differently. Not only just allowing the river of life to take us where it's going to take us, and just trust in its benevolence and trust that it's going to all work out in the end and so forth. Beyond that, like when I was doing my mirror exercise this morning, I was literally saying to myself, Louise and I, we need to get into that higher place, and we need to stay there. We really need to stay there. And just the rest of it, I mean, here are the goals. Here's where we want to get to. We aren't really sure how to get there, but we do know this much. We need to get into that good feeling place. So among other things, I was asking for help getting into the good feeling place. I was saying, Source, I'm going to do everything I can, but I need you to help me. I need you to help me. And of course, Source is always helping me anyway. But nevertheless, that's a way of releasing. That's a way of letting go.
Yeah. And then Source gives you an entire podcast that's about letting go. And
isn't that amazing?
Yeah. And so hopefully that then locks into your day just this great message that, wow, I'm gonna today try letting go a whole bunch. I'm just gonna let go all over the place and trust that things are gonna flow. I'll do my part, but I'm gonna just take it easy and just trust.
It's funny.
There's a much bigger love taking care of things than I could ever imagine.
Yes. It's funny because as we're saying that, as you were literally saying those words and I was saying what I said a moment ago, I can feel myself melting into my chair.
That's cool.
Yeah, it is cool. That's how I know that I'm moving in the right direction, because it feels better, right? That's what we're looking for here.
Exactly. Releasing resistance. And just, Abraham was saying, look, when you die, When you croak, it's just a total downstream experience. You're just releasing resistance all over the place. And why wait until we die? Just let's start releasing resistance now.
Yeah.
If the life is really created by such an incredible force, that we call it source, that we call it infinite, that we call it God, and this whole idea of traditional way of talking about it, then can we really trust that? Can we let go and let God? And I'm just gonna keep experimenting in that arena and just keep letting go.
Well, clearly we can. I mean, the evidence is overwhelming that we can for the reason you gave. Everybody dies. And when they die, everybody releases. So clearly we're capable of doing it. The only question is, are we going to do it now voluntarily in a way that promotes our lives? Or are we going to wait until the last possible second when we are completely trapped, we have trapped ourselves in every possible way, and then we finally let go so we can pass on? That, to me, is not like the best way to do it. To me, the better way is to learn to do it now, not to learn to do it later. Not that I want to die, but rather I want to live. I mean, I want to really live. Because it's not like when you release, the end is death. When you release, the end is life. The end is joy. The end is passion. It's excitement. It's abundance. It's all the good stuff that we're waiting for and looking for and hoping for. And that's why we do this podcast. I do this podcast anyway. I do it to keep convincing myself, Walt, let go of the oars. Walt, let go of the oars.
There you go. Yeah, it's like such a habit that we have of thinking that we have to do it, we have to do it, we have to do it. It's our responsibility. My life is my responsibility. I've got to make this stuff happen. And what I'm getting more and more is there's only one stream that's flowing. That one stream is nothing but well-being. And everything you want it because you think you're going to feel better in the having of it, the money, the house, the lover, the health. And so it's all downstream. It's all in the good feeling place. And so the only way to get to a good feeling is through a good feeling. And it's set up so that the entire stream that we're flowing in is made of well-being. And it's like, really? It's like, it's all that easy, and it's all downstream. And so all I got to do is relax and release and let go and know that life is good, and everything I want is just going to flow into my experience. All the money, all the health, all the relationships. Yeah, that's how it works. So I mean, the only problem that I have is that I try too hard. Yeah, that's the only thing. You're trying too hard. You think it's on your shoulders. So you make your life difficult. It's like, oh, it's like it's almost like I'm incredulous to hear all that, because it's like, oh, yeah, it can't be that easy.
That's the typical reaction, to be incredulous, to feel like that can't be. That's too simple. Too simplistic. That's what that is. It's too simplistic. Yeah. Can't be that. And there are so many myriad ways we're good at paddling upstream. Yeah. Because we're good at those. We got paddling upstream down pat. And we do it in our personal lives, in our relationships, in our careers, in our situations with money, in our health. And we do it in every aspect of our lives. We're so good at paddling upstream. And the moment that the going gets tough, the tough get going, they start paddling even harder. Mm-hmm. We get really, really, really good at paddling upstream. Ultimately, that raises a question in my mind. Well, if we're so good at paddling upstream, why do we have to keep doing it? To prove it? What's the game? Where's the advantage? Because, the paddling upstream hasn't gotten us to where we want to be. Yeah. Maybe at some point we just try the downstream just to try it.
Well, yeah, exactly. And, it's the thing is that so many people are brought to that point of paddling downstream when something really intense happens in their life. They're almost in an auto accident, or they get some illness and they're going to die, but they somehow survive, or they have a near-death experience and they see the other side and they realize that there's the only thing awaiting them is this amazing, light, beautiful experience of total divinity and wonder and awe and beauty. And they go, oh, and they come back to this life and they go, oh, I'm going to let go. I'm going to start having fun. I'm going to make my life, let my life be pleasurable and beautiful and easy. And yeah, it's,
intrinsic in some of those stories is a question that they raise to themselves, particularly at the passing over experience, where they get some sense of what it's like in the non-physical. And the reaction is, well, it's so beautiful here. Why would I want to go back?
Yeah, exactly.
Why do I want to go back to that horrid contrast? And the answer that's usually given is some form of realizing that they aren't done, that that they haven't done everything they were planning to do with their lives, or there was a mission for them, or something along that line. But I like what you just said. The reason to come back is to do it here, to do what you're feeling there here. That's a great reason to come back, I think.
Yeah. But it seems like when you're in that state, that you're in the unseen realm, you're not in a body yet, and there's this idea that I've heard many times, and especially from Abraham, is that you got to make this. You're making this decision to come here. You're making a choice to come here, and you're excited. You're excited because of contrast, and you're thinking, ooh, I want to get over there and play with the contrast. Yeah. This is so much fun. And I'm thinking, God, what a delusion! It's like, you thought this was going to be fun, but actually, yeah, that's kind of like the wake up process that we're going through after we get confused and we get into this thing of rowing upstream and trying so hard and thinking life's a struggle and it's all on our shoulders and it's, this big deal. And then we go through this big arc to get back to realizing that it's easy and it's fun and we can let go and that everything will come to us. It's all designed in a benevolent and benign way, and we can trust. And it's like somehow I think if we get on the other side, we must just go, oh, wow, what a play that was,
Yeah, right.
What a sitcom that was. I actually took it like it was serious some of the time.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, a lot of the time I did. And, but yeah, it's like you're saying, we actually wanted to come here because we wanted to go after all these desires we have and watch how we go through all these changes and then we get what we want and it's really fun and we learn how to flow. We learn how to let go.
Well, that's just it. I mean, there are a couple ways, there are actually an infinite number of ways, but in general, I can kind of divide them down the middle and say, well, half of them are over here, half of them are over there. Over here, there are a whole bunch of reasons to come back and a whole bunch of ways to come back that basically amount to, I want to ride the enjoyable ride. I want to really have fun and enjoy this living experience in this contrast. And on the other side of the fence, there's the, oh God, this is like aspiring to wake up so I can go put my fingers in the wall socket. Two different ways of looking at the same thing.
That's right.
That's right. And that's really what the choice comes down to. Which way do we want to look at it? If we look at it the first way, we're going to end up having a fantastic life. If we look at it the second way, we're going to have a miserable life. Which do we want?
Yeah. Well, and if we understand our emotional guidance system, the more we begin to understand all the emotions of disempowerment and struggle and fear and worry and all that are to show us that that's not really, we're not in vibrational alignment with who we are. And that, the more and more that I see my emotions, like this weekend, if I'm laying on the couch for 3 hours feeling bad and feeling hopeless and feeling stuck between a rock and a hard place, and that I don't have any idea how I'm going to make this thing work out, and then I finally just let it go, it's like, well, that's somehow what I finally did is I took all those negative emotions as an indication that this is not working for me. Something's just not working here. So I'm going to let go. And other times when I feel more in control, I personally make some choice to turn my boat. I say, well, I'm going to go out and just go for a walk and look at the beautiful trees in my neighborhood and just forget about this, and then I come back from the walk and I might feel a lot better. But actually that day I had gone for one of those walks all along this beautiful creek and incredible trees and birds and everything. But it hadn't changed my head because the feeling of heaviness I had in me was so strong. And I just finally had to completely give it to my higher power. That's always, I guess, my bottom line. If I get frustrated enough and sad enough and messed up enough, I just give it to the source, give it to God or whatever you want to call that, higher power, and just say, I need your help. You just got to give this entirely to you. I can't think about this anymore.
And you raise an interesting point, because that is the way we so often do it. We get to that final breaking point and, okay, I'm going to give it over. And what I really want to do is I want to make that decision to get there long before I reach the breaking point. That's my
Yeah.
big goal in life. I
Yeah.
don't want to have to put myself into these uncomfortable positions. I'm tired of their uncomfortable positions. I want to let them go. I don't want them to ever come back again. I want to actually enjoy the process of getting there, of getting into
Yeah.
that high vibrational place. That to me is the goal. If I can do that, and there are times when I do that, if I can do that more consistently, that's success for me.
So how are you going to do it more consistently?
By continuing to focus on the idea that yes, I want to attract things into my life. Yes, I want experiences attracted into my life. But most of all, I want to attract feeling good into my life. That's my goal. That's my goal every single day. And on those days, like today, I should say, where I woke up and I was feeling, oh, geez, there are other things that aren't going right. And I really don't like the fact they're going right. And they're important things. They're the things that are high on my list of my top priority things to happen. And they just don't seem to be going right. That's the day when I realize it's most important of all to make it my goal to feel good. That's where the goal of feeling as good as I can, as much as I can, to my mind, is the most important goal of all. Now, I forget about it, but still, I keep trying to remind myself, oh yeah, that's the goal. That's where I need to get to. Let's get there, because that's where everything happens going downstream.
Mm-hmm. So in a way, to get to the goal of feeling good, is it just letting go of the oars?
Probably. I say that because I have not yet gotten to the point where I always consistently feel as good as I want to feel. I mean, there are days when I'm very good at it, where I spend a large chunk or large chunks of the day feeling good. And on those days, things do seem to be easier, and there does seem to be less rowing going on. But I can't say I've gotten to the point where I am consistently throughout my day, all day long, feeling good, and therefore I can look back and say, yeah, it's because I let go of the oars. I mean, it seems like that's the direction to go. Certainly, it's what we talk about here, right? That's what we're constantly emphasizing.
Would it help you today? Would it help me today if we just said, I'm just going to trust entirely in the benevolence of the universe, and that there's a stream that's flowing, and that stream is taking me to everything I want. It's going to bring me the money. It's going to bring me the ideal business situation. Everything's going to unfold from that. So I'm already in that stream of well-being. So I'm just going to just let go all day long to that, and just, hey, I'm being carried. I'm just in this little boat, and life is much bigger than me, and I'm just going to trust that there's just divine order to it, and there's benevolence, and there's kindness, and that's how it's created.
I think you're right. I think that is the way to get there. It's the optimum way to get there. I also know, as you were describing that, I was thinking about, shouldn't we just let go of the oars, like you were saying? I was hearing what you were saying, and I was hearing it in the context of what my most important goals are, the most important things I want to attract into my life. And as I'm thinking that and hearing you say that, I'm feeling fear.
Yes.
I'm feeling fear because,
because
if I let go of those oars, then those things aren't going to come true, according to the fear.
Right. That's what we think, right?
Yeah,
So it takes this incredible surrender in a way.
In a way, yeah.
I mean, here's a little quote from Abraham. They say, sometimes our physical friends say, I'm working very hard to achieve my goals, like you were saying. And we say, then you're not allowing them to be given to you. You're pointed upstream. Sometimes our physical friends, after they listen to us for a while, and we talk about this delicious, pure, positive energy of love and appreciation here in the vibrational alignment of who you are, and we talk about the opposite end of that emotional scale, where you feel some fear or some disempowerment, where you feel all those negative emotions that are an indication that you're not in vibrational alignment with who you are. And sometimes our physical friends, as they get a sense of this emotional scale and they know how wonderful it is on this end and how really not wonderful it is on the other end, they say, I'm going to apply my processes. I'm going to get in my boat. I'm going to put a motor in it, and I will move into vibrational alignment with all that I'm wanting. And we say to you, you don't need to put a motor on your boat when you understand the stream. Just let go of the oars. You don't even have to turn the boat around. When you stop paddling upstream, the stream will turn you and take you in the direction of everything that you want. If you could just remember that, if we could zap you and imbue you with a constant memory, it would be of that, of your worthiness, of your value, of your rightness. It would be the reason that you came forth, and we would zap you till you understood that you cannot get it wrong here. you can't get anything wrong. You can only get it right. You're never going to get it done. The river just keeps flowing. It's always been flowing. It's like, what? You mean I was just duped into thinking that I had to make effort here? And that's really not what it's about. It's really not about me trying hard.
Or more accurately, I duped myself into thinking it.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I was influenced by, my parents, by the society around me, by social structures, by all that kind of stuff. But nevertheless, I did the duping.
Mm-hmm.
I really did.
I'm still doing it.
And still, yeah, I'm really good at it.
I don't want to keep saying that, because then I will keep doing it. So I want to say, I'm going to keep looking at this. Luckily, this woman I'm with now, she this is sort of her mantra is, like just let go and she calls it the great mother, the great benevolent force of life, of life itself is always taken care of. And, and I think there is a place though to have always, check our attitude about it, obviously, because if our attitude is one of fear, then we aren't really trusting.
Yeah, well, that's just it. The idea is to pay attention and find out when are we feeling the stuff we don't want to feel, and use that as a signal that says, okay, time to make a little bit of a shift and let go some more.
Yeah. Oh, I guess I wasn't trusting enough. I was feeling fear. Yeah. Oh, I guess I wasn't trusting enough. I was feeling hopeless. I was feeling stuck between a rock and a hard place. That's definitely not allowing and trusting that this is going to work out for me. It's going to work out the way it's supposed to work out. And maybe I won't end up with her. Maybe I'll end up with a different partner, but it's all going to work out the way it's supposed to work out. So I'm just going to go have a good time and enjoy myself to the max, because I'm being taken care of. Everything's going to flow.
Everything flows when I let go. Has a nice rhyme to it, actually. It does. Put it on a T-shirt, right? Everything flows when I let go.
I'm going to start a T-shirt company.
Sound like Mike Dooley.
That's right.
That's where he got started. They got started doing T-shirts with inspirational sayings on them.
Yeah, I know it. And he did well at that too.
He did, yeah.
Yeah.
Until he didn't.
So we just have to make peace with ourselves, right? Just always finding a way to be more easy with everything.
And there is a lot of benefit to being easy. I mean, we don't even have to wait to find out what's going to happen with the big goals in order to know that. Because when you allow everything to go easy and to relax and to just work itself out, you feel better right away, regardless of whether your goals have been achieved. You may not feel massively better, but you do feel incrementally better. Just even a little bit, you feel better.
Yeah.
And in the process of doing that, you realize, I really can feel better. That was a big awakening for me, recognizing that I actually could move my emotional set point. When I first realized that some 4 or 5 years ago, that was a breakthrough. That was a big breakthrough. Recognizing that I had made the shift. And I had done it essentially by letting go. I mean, I didn't necessarily think of it that way, but I had done it by relaxing to some degree.
Yeah, it's actually an empowering thing to give our lives over to this stream of well-being. It gives us a sense of, because then we see things manifest in our lives that we've been wanting. That's the interesting thing,
Yeah.
But like you say, when we've been holding on hard and putting it in our corner that we need to make a lot of effort, and you can't relax too much. You've got to be diligent. You've got to be watching everything. You've got to be, putting in the right effort at the right time. It's up to us. And gosh, can you imagine trusting so much that you just knew that life is going to give you the right indication at the right time? It's like my alarm clock. I set my alarm so many times for a certain time, and I wake up a minute before it's going to go off all the time. Just in perfect time to shut it off.
Wow. Hey, we have a caller who has called in, and I think we ought to find out who that is, because I suspect they're going to tell us something really profound and amazing. So, and it's somebody from my home state, from Connecticut. So who's calling from Connecticut?
Good morning, Walt. It's Anne Marie.
Anne Marie, hi. How you doing?
Hi.
Hey, Anne-Marie.
I'm doing great, thanks. Hi.
Hi.
Great show, guys. I'm really enjoying listening to you talking about things that I know we need to do. And I just wanted to sort of add something to that because there's a component that you're leaving out that I think is really important. And Walt knows how important this is to me. And that's laughter.
Yes.
You know, it's like when you get to that point when you recognize that you have to let go, and it's hard to, if you can force yourself to laugh, which is not an easy thing to do when you're in that situation, because that's not when you normally want to feel like laughing. You really want to feel like crying or screaming or pulling your hair out, right? But if you can force yourself to laugh in that moment and just keep forcing it, eventually your laughter will turn into a real laughter and you can laugh at yourself, and it really helps you to get into that flow. Really, really, really helps. Sometimes it comes out sounding rather demonic, because you're not in a happy place. The people around you might look at you a little crazy, but hey, they get to know, hey, she's doing laughter yoga. And that's where I got this from, is laughter yoga, which is just training yourself to laugh when you don't feel like laughing. It helps you change your vibrational state. Mm-hmm. And it's a great tool to have in your tool belt to change your state of being, so that you're not so focused on the negative, but now you can focus on the just letting go, just like you guys are saying. You just got to let it go. But it's hard. It's not an easy thing. It's hard. But that's one tool that I use that really helps.
Oh, that's good.
And Tom, I know you're a laughter yoga freak too, so it's great to have the two of you on the podcast talking at the same time, because you guys can share the laughter yoga notes.
Well, I had a real good experience with laughter where I'd heard the saying always, like, if you can't laugh at your life, you're missing the point of your life. And I always thought, I don't laugh very much at my life. I take things really seriously most of the time. And I remember over the years, this was during the last four years, is going through a lot of big changes in my life. I actually was able to spontaneously start laughing at things, and it felt so good, with that. I would laugh at a place in the past where I would have felt really bad, really felt really down. So I appreciate that suggestion to remember about laughter. It feels so good. Yeah.
I'm wondering if we should be doing a laughter podcast.
Oh, well, I'll tell you.
We're doing it.
It's hard to laugh for a long time. My laughter yoga instructor, Milan, man, she is awesome. She could laugh for 20 minutes straight, 40 days in a row. And I'm telling you, that's to me like climbing Mount Everest. Have you tried it? I mean, it's hard. It's hard on your stomach. It's hard to laugh for that long. Sometimes I'll try to see how long I can laugh for when I'm in the car. And honestly, I have not made it to 3 minutes yet.
No.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
Do you ever get into really feeling that it's funny that you're trying to laugh so hard?
Oh, yeah. Frequently. Yeah, I do.
Why am I doing this?
Yeah. Well, especially when my staff is like commenting on the other side of the wall. They're like, yeah, she's doing laughter yoga. Yeah, it's okay. Yeah, I know it sounds weird, but you have to laugh at yourself.
I think if you do it in front of a mirror. Do you ever do it in front of a mirror?
I have not really practiced that. I've practiced, like Walt was doing, looking into your eyes and talking about how you love yourself into a mirror. But I've not actually laughed into a mirror. No. Why? Is that helpful?
Well, I think, I've done that. Yeah. I mean, I haven't done it exactly on purpose, but when I see myself, I often laugh because I look so funny.
Yeah.
Look at the guy. But no, it's funny just to goof with myself, because I've always been a goofball. That's the role I played in my family growing up, was a little bit of the goofball. But so then, if you start laughing from that goofy place, then that can be fun, and realize that, I'm not all that anyway. I'm just a dude trying to have a good time here.
Right.
Plus, one of the things I've always admired, I've admired comedians for years. not because I like all comedians. I actually don't. There are many comedians whose humor just doesn't resonate with me at all. A lot of it's very anger-based and so forth, and I just don't really care about that. But even so, I admire the ability of comedians to find things to be funny. Because that's what you have to do when you're a comedian. You have to, I mean, especially if you're going to do stand-up. You try to work out 3 or 4 minutes or maybe 5, 6, 7, 8 minutes of stand-up comedy. You got to work it all out, right? Unless you're Robin Williams, who can just fling it. But for most comedians, they have to work out what they're going to say and how they're going to get you laughing and keep you laughing. And it takes work. It takes work to do that. But nevertheless, they learn over time how to find things that are mundane to be funny. Mm-hmm. And that's a great art. That's a wonderful art, I think. That's a skill I'm still trying to learn. And the more I learn it, the more I laugh. And the more I laugh, the more I realize this is a good skill to learn.
Yeah, I agree. We have an open mic on Monday nights called Anything Goes Open Mic, and we get a lot of comedians who come in who are practicing, who are trying out new material. And you see how hard it is to not only find those things in life that we can make fun of ourselves at and all resonate with, because you don't want it to be isolated. You want it to be something that we can all resonate with, that we can all laugh at ourselves about.
Right. Yep.
And so just finding those things, like you say, it's tricky. And then finding a way to present it in a way that's funny is also difficult. So you see them working it out, and you see them like week after week getting better and better. And it's not easy to get other people to laugh. And to find those things to laugh about, but I agree with you. I appreciate good comedians who can do that.
I mean, I don't even try to make other people laugh. If I can make myself laugh, that's a victory. If I can make myself laugh, maybe somebody else will laugh too, and that I can live with that. That's good. Okay. But if I make my goal, I'm going to make Anne-Marie laugh, or I'm going to make Tom laugh. Forget it. I'm dead in the water. I got no prayer at all. My best hope is to make me laugh. Then I got a chance. Otherwise, forget it.
Yep. But I find that especially when I'm at work, because I'm there a lot, but when I start laughing, except for my staff, because they kind of know what to expect now. But other people, when they're around, if they see me and start laughing, even if they don't know what I'm laughing at, they'll chime in and they'll start laughing, because it's true. Laughter is contagious. You have to actually block it from happening. If you're around it, you just want to laugh. And so sometimes I do get everybody into a laughing fit, just because why not? It's good for the soul. It's good. It's just good. So sometimes we just get into that, so that's good.
I love what you said too, that you have to block it. And I'm thinking to myself, yeah, we do that, but why would we want to block laughing? Laughing feels good. Why would we block that? And yet we do. I mean, I don't understand that. Why do we do that?
Well, I think people are self-conscious about it.
Maybe
people
that's what it is.
People don't. I think people don't understand, generally speaking, I don't think people understand the value of laughing. And they think, oh, well, this is supposed to be a serious situation. We're at work, or we're at church, or we're, wherever. You're not supposed to laugh out loud. People might think I'm crazy. And you know what it boils down to? Well, it boils down to fear.
No, that's true.
Because they fear they're going to be made fun of if they're laughing.
Yeah.
Or they fear, people won't think that they are doing something appropriate because those other people don't understand what you're doing. So I think it boils down to fear.
I think you're right.
Really the root of all of our problems.
It is. There's something about us. We just love to come into this contrast. And instead of laughing at the fear like you're doing so brilliantly right now, we say, oh my God, I got to be so afraid. This is scary. This is scary shit. Time to be scared.
All right.
That's the whole thing.
So, all right, guys, I'll let you go. I'm going to get rolling. I'm going to go make a shake for work, because I got to get onto the buttonwood tree and do my work. But Walt, come down sometime. Tom, I know you're too far away, but Walt, come down sometime on a Monday night and check out the comedians and maybe go up and tell a story or something.
I'll definitely keep it in mind. Monday night's kind of tough for us because of the way the gardening business is, but we'll definitely try to see if there's a Monday night we'll come down, because that would be fun.
I would love to come if I was there. Thank you for sharing your laughter story.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
And thanks for calling.
All right, guys, you have a great day.
Thanks for calling in. We love that. That was great.
Yeah. Thanks for being there to listen to.
All right. Take care, Anne-Marie. We'll see you again.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Thanks.
Anne-Marie, she's terrific. And what she does with the buttonwood is just an amazing thing. I mean, it's something where she works very hard to get grants from arts councils and donors that support the arts and so forth, and she holds that whole thing together. She's the glue that holds it together, and as a result, Middletown, Connecticut has this expanse of alternative arts that they would not otherwise have. And so I want to say kudos to you, Anne-Marie, because you're terrific. You really are.
Is Anne-Marie married to Mike?
Yeah, Mike and Anne-Marie, right. Mike's like a ball of energy.
Yeah,
Mike is just incredible. You get into a conversation with Mike, and you can practically see him shaking with energy. It's amazing.
That's cool.
Yep.
He loves life.
He loves life. He loves smiling. He loves laughing. I mean, it's kind of amazing to hear the story, and he'll often tell it about how he and Anne-Marie met because he responded to an ad on Meetup, I think it was, for one of the events that Anne-Marie was sponsoring, and came to the event, and it was a laughter yoga. It was a laughter yoga event, and he thought that was the craziest thing in the world. Well, this guy is one of the most natural laughers you'll ever meet. And here's this guy who's a natural laugher who's talking about how difficult it was to conceive of the idea of doing laughter yoga. It's really interesting. It's interesting to talk to him for that reason. Yeah.
I've actually kind of had resistance towards laughter yoga because it just seemed like too much pushing to try to create something, but I have done it to the point, especially like in comedy improv, going and we have these exercises we do before we do improv scenes to loosen us up and to get us in sync with each other. And one of the things we do sometimes is that we all start laughing, and we practice each time. You're supposed to do a different kind of laugh. Like it'll go around the circle and each person's supposed to come up with their own unique laugh and see if they can get everybody else laughing that particular laugh. So we all try it, like someone will do just a really strange sounding laugh and that'll crack everybody up because it's so strange.
Yeah. Well, I have to agree. Okay. Well, I have to admit, I mean, it's strained at first, and that's probably the biggest objection I have to it. But by the same token, I don't really buy into the idea that just because everyone else in the room is forcing themselves to laugh, that I have to force myself. I instantly start thinking in terms of what makes me laugh. Instead of trying to force it, what do I find funny? And then I try to find something funny so I can laugh at it. That, to me, is a much easier way to go. So it may not be traditional laughter yoga, but I don't care. It's what works for me.
Yeah. And also, I try to find where the energy in me is that kind of is flowing in that loose way. Like what if everybody's trying to laugh and I go, ha, 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 ha. I mean, I can find some way to use my energy that feels sort of fun to me. Like she said, it might sound diabolical at first, but then you just keep playing with it, and you can have fun with it.
Well, even the diabolical part, if you recognize that it sounds diabolical, you can laugh at the fact that it sounds diabolical.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what I was just saying. Yeah, just how
Louise calls it her evil laugh. Her evil laugh. And she used to love that. She used to work in daycare for a number of years. She worked in daycare, and little kids love the evil laugh. They just love it. So you can use almost anything. Just a question of what's it going to take for you to laugh.
Yeah. So what we've decided on this podcast is that there's nothing serious really going on, that we're completely taken care of by this stream of well-being. And so we just got to lighten up about 100% more.
And it really comes down to, are we willing to keep doing it? This is where I really trust what Abraham teaches about beliefs, that a belief is a thought you think over and over again. And it's true for any kind of thought. So therefore, it's also true about believing that allowing the boat to turn and go downstream on its own is going to get you where you want to be. You want to trust in the going downstream, you have to keep thinking in terms of trusting to go downstream. Even if it feels kind of tense at first. It's like the laughter yoga. At first, it's like you're pushing, you're efforting to believe that you could actually just let the boat go downstream and it'll work. Mm-hmm. But, hey, that's better than paddling upstream. And the more that you do it, the more you can start to believe, yeah, maybe I can let the boat go, downstream.
Well, maybe. What we could do is you could try experiments with it. Like,
what do you mean?
Okay, well, I could say, I'm going today to sort of dedicate today to this. I'm going to give it a try today like I never have before. of whenever I'm feeling any concern about anything, I'm going to see what it feels like to let go of my concern about it and my efforting and anything of trying. And I'm going to see what it feels like to follow the stream of well-being that's naturally flowing there and see, okay, so what would that, and in a way, I'm trying to do this every day. It's sort of like, well, what feels good right now? What feels good now? What feels downstream? What feels downstream? What feels like I'm flowing? I'm no longer rowing. I'm not putting a motor on my boat. I'm not trying to do all these different things to make things happen. I'm just sort of looking for where's the ease, where's the ease, where's the fun, where's the flow, which direction is the stream wanting to go? Wait a minute, that doesn't feel right. But then when we start seeing the results, that's, I think, when we know that flowing with the stream is the way to go, because if we start seeing things working out, or we just start feeling better, But yeah, I think the biggest concern is I'm afraid something won't get done that's supposed to get done.
Yeah, and that's why I like to trust in the repeat factor, the repeatability. If I can just keep repeating the attempt, just trust it for a bit. Anne-Marie was kind of downplaying the fact that she was only able to laugh for 3 minutes. But I'll bet you when she started, she was only able to laugh for 3 seconds. And she has now worked it up over time to 3 minutes, which is a huge accomplishment. Mm-hmm. So the same thing can be done with letting go of the oars. We can practice letting go of the oars for 1 second. And then we can practice it for 1.5 seconds.
Yeah.
And then for 1 3/4 seconds. And just over time, practice doing it a little bit longer, a little bit longer, a little bit longer. Not worrying about the results, not worrying about what's going to happen. Just trying it again and trying it again and just letting it play out as much as you can play it out. That's what I found worked for me in terms of moving my emotional set point. If I could move my emotional set point for 1 second, then I knew over time I could move it for 15 seconds or for a minute or for 5 minutes or 10 minutes or 20 or 30 or an hour or 2 hours.
Yeah. And, you could put up, what I've done a lot in my life is I put up signs around my house. Like I take eight and a half by 11 piece of paper in the printer, and I'll print out in large letters a quote. Let's say something like, let go of the oars, or life is a constant stream of well-being, relax, something like that, and put those signs around. And then when I see them, when I'm in a point of trying too hard or worrying about something, and I see that and I go, that's what I decided is true. I decided that that's how life works. I made that choice, and I'm going to make that choice again this moment. And I'm going to make that choice again this moment. And then we get ourselves into a rhythm of choosing feeling good and choosing flowing and choosing allowing and choosing trusting, choosing that life's benevolent. And we, more and more we choose that, we can just make that our mantra. We can make it the way we live.
And while we're making that our mantra, I also want to take a moment to remind those who have not yet become subscribers of the podcast that subscribing to the podcast is a great way to practice letting go of the oars. Because when you're listening to us talk about this stuff, I find it just talking with Tom or with Cindy or Wendy or David or Joel, just talking on the podcast, I find myself letting go of the oars because we end up talking about stuff that feels better. And you get the same benefit when you're listening to the podcast too. Well, you can subscribe and get all of those podcast episodes sent to your smartphone, to whatever device you use on a regular basis. And so whenever you're ready to let go of the oars a little bit more, you can tune in and listen to an hour of your daily dose of happy. It's easy to do to subscribe. It's free. You just go to the homepage at loatoday.net. All the instructions are right there. It takes about a minute. And when you're done, you join hundreds of others who have also become subscribers and who are regular listeners of LOA Today, people like our good friend Anne-Marie. And Tom, for somebody who needs a little bit more personal assistance, sometimes a coach can be helpful. How do they reach out to you?
They can go to my website, which is youarejoy, youarejoy.com. And I'm offering a free half hour of coaching. And that's a way for you to work with me for half an hour with some problem that you have, some concern, and you can get a feeling what it would be like to work with me if you would like to continue on.
Fantastic. Tom, it's been a pleasure. We'll talk again on Friday.
All right. I'm looking forward to it.
And we'll see you all next time as well. Absolutely. We'll see you next time on LOA Today. Goodbye, everybody.